Dan Hicks joins us now from NBC in his 21st year. Fifth Olympics. Dan, welcome to the show.
Mike, how are you?
I tell you what, I'm doing great, and I'm loving the Olympics, and you're doing a great job. You're one of the most versatile play-by-play men that I know of, from football to golf, and you're going to be in the pool or near the pool. What's the hardest part about calling swimming events?
Well, probably because they come fast and furious. It's amazing, especially in the finals. We don't call every single preliminary race or every single heat race that's swum, but the finals come right one after another, so you don't have any time. You're still getting over the excitement or the drama of whatever's happened in a final, and boom, you're setting the lanes and the whole deal for the next race in a matter of seconds with all sorts of people and pronunciations from around the world. So it's definitely intense, but it's a lot of fun, and it's just been one of the great experiences that I've had in the business is doing the swimming now for the fifth time at the Olympics.
What's the atmosphere in the building? Because a lot of folks have been in and around swimming events, and it can be hot, it can be sticky, it can be muggy. What's it feel like? Is it cold? Is it warm? Give us an idea of the scene in there.
Well, the temperature was a little high there before the game started, especially, but I think the venue was dealing with the unseasonable warm temperatures that we had just before the games began, and the coaches and the athletes were really pretty concerned with it before it started. But they've kind of gotten it under control, and the atmosphere and the climate's great. There's more than 17,000 people to pack in there for pretty much every session, so the temperature's really become a backseat now, and it's just there's been some awesome racing. We've got, big stories going on, people that, you always know that you have to expect somebody, but kind of come out of the woodwork, like this young girl from Lithuania who's only 15 years old who might win a gold medal, Lithuania's first ever Olympic swimming gold. So you got the unexpected stories like Michael Phelps, who, was just off the medal stand in the 400 IM, but he's looking a little better now, and I think everybody's got a little more confidence in what he can do for the rest of the games.
How much does he risk hurting his legacy, though, Dan, by coming back for another Olympics if he doesn't have a great outcome? Does that tarnish in any way what he did in 2008?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. But I do think that what he did in Beijing 4 years ago will stand on its own forever. And I think the fact that he dropped the 200 free coming into these games to kind of get it out there immediately that, what we saw in China is never going to happen from him. Much less, I don't think, anybody else. It was that special of a performance. So I don't think it really hurts the legacy, unless he was to totally be off his game during these entire games. It was a shock that he didn't medal even in the 400 IM, much less even give Ryan Lochte a race. I mean, he was 4 seconds behind Lochte. That was a shock. And I think if he was to keep up that kind of disappointing performance throughout the remainder of these games, then it would take a little bit off of what he did in Beijing. But I do expect him to come back. But in the bottom line is what he did in Beijing just simply stands on its own as the greatest Olympic performance of all time.
Talking with Dan Hicks of NBC, covering the swimming events at the London Olympics. Give us an idea of what's coming up in the pool today, Dan.
Well, Michael Phelps is back in action. He's in the semifinals of the 200 fly, which is his specialty, which is great. Rebecca Soni goes for a gold in the 100 breaststroke. You got another girl named Bria Larson, who's also from the United States, who might have a chance to get on the podium as well. You got Matt Grievers of the United States, who's the big favorite in the gold in the 100 backstroke for the men. And, I think everybody wants to see if Michael Phelps is going to kind of come back. So I think, even throughout it all, it's kind of a little bit like Tiger Woods. Everybody, even though Tiger's been off his game, everybody's still waiting for him to win a major. And I think now the big thing is what is Phelps going to do to pick up the pieces after the poor performance on Saturday night. So we're looking forward to a lot of good stuff coming up.
And Ryan Lochte had the big start Saturday with the gold, but then some people are saying that he's the one that blew the lead in the 4x100 freestyle. Does that criticism ring true, and is it maybe a sign that he won't be as dominant as he was the first night?
Yeah, I failed to mention that Ryan's going to go for the gold in the 200 free. And that's going to be a very tough race. That's the race that Phelps dropped. But getting back to Lochte's anchor leg in the 400 free relay, It might appear upon first inspection that he blew it for the Americans, and Yannick Agnel of France just kind of coasted in there. But the real story behind it all is pretty much what my partner Rowdy Gaines said as it was all unfolding, is that Agnel had a kind of Jason Lezak-like finish. It was an unbelievable split. No one saw it coming, and Lochte's going to have a little bit of that tag on him perception-wise, that he kind of let the team down and the France team won. But really, the case was an exceptional leg by Agnel, and I don't see that really affecting Lochte from here on out.
Talking to Dan Patrick, talking to Dan Hicks. We will be talking to Dan Patrick later. It's the Dan Patrick Show. I'm getting my Dan's. So I knew that was going to happen, too.
Me, and I've been called him, so why not throw you into the mix there, Mike?
There we go.
Problem.
Hey, when you're not covering the swimming, is there an event that you go see? Is there an event you follow? Do you have a favorite of the events that we don't hear much about other than during the Olympics?
That is a good question. I'll tell you what I've enjoyed, and during the swimming I had no time at all to see anything else. But I'll tell you, during the Winter Olympics, when I do speed skating, the schedule is a little bit looser where I can kind of go off and see some other events. So I'll tell you what I've really enjoyed seeing. That's the short track speed skating. I went over there and saw, Apollo Antonino and all those guys go around that little oval, and it is absolutely crazy. And I've told Ted Robinson this. Ted does the diving commentary over here. He's right in the same compound that we are at swimming. And Ted does the short track speed skating at the Winter Olympics. And I tell him, of all the sports we do, that has got to be the most nerve-wracking sport to call, because, things are happening in fractions of a second. You get all these skaters going around this little oval. So I just gained an appreciation by watching that in person, how unbelievably hard that was as a skater, and how hard a race it would be to call if I ever had to do it. But I'm glad we got Ted and I just a spectator for that one.
Well, Dan, great work so far. We'll be checking out all of the swimming events on the various NBC networks, and have a good time over there.
Mike, pleasure to talk to you. Take care.
That's Dan Hicks of NBC, 21 years with NBC, 5 Olympic Games, and he's the man when it comes to swimming.